South Africa and Zambia. He's also very knowledgeable regarding OHADA law. Serge is a driving force for the development of ProximA, which was co-founded with his partner Serge. ProximA is a boutique law firm based in DRC, but it involved a major cross-border transaction in Africa. The firm is now considered as a reference for many key players and many projects in DRC, but not only there. Let's please welcome Mr. Serge Nawej. The next gentleman sitting next to him, Franklin Muanankese. So Franklin is the founder of Tacoma Mountain Group, LLC, and he's created this to leverage his experience in energy, tech-enabled services, and IT to acquire, manage, and grow small businesses. He has previous experience at various companies such as ExxonMobil Corporation, in refining and supply, chemical, research, and engineering. And as a lead at Exxon's chemical division, he managed and provided technical expertise to a team of 5 control system engineers and specialists at 3 chemical plants. Let's please welcome Franklin. And the last gentleman I will introduce is Mr. Hervé Tshibengabo. So he is a co-founder of TNT Group, a property manager venture that manages and rents out properties in Kinshasa. After earning his double MBA from Georgia State University and Panthéon de Sorbonne in Paris, he moved back to Africa where he's worked in consulting assignments in countries such as Guinea, Kenya, Angola, Madagascar, DRC. His consulting services are formalized in commercial intelligence and commercial diplomacy. Let's please welcome. So I'm going to open up the first question to all the entire panelists. I just want to set the context. So let's talk about some of the biggest opportunities that currently exist in DRC and some of the biggest challenges and why are those existing opportunities. So we'll just start there.
Thank you very much for this question, actually. First, I'll start with one story. When I decided to come back in Congo, it was almost 10 years ago. I started traveling back and forth. Every single person, I grew up in Belgium for almost 22 years, would tell me, don't go there. Medias, don't go there. Doesn't work. But my parents would live there. They wouldn't come, I wouldn't come, but everyone would tell me, don't go there. When I decided to go there, this is the first opportunity, actually, it's going back home. People told me, you're crazy. I went there, and I started traveling every year, understanding the countries, understanding Africa. I went to Djibouti, I went all over Africa where I could go to reconnect with my continent, to decondition my mind to what I was conditioned. That's where I started even being useful for companies like DLA Piper. I worked for many years for DLA Piper. I developed the African practice, actually, in DLA Piper, what they call African practice. I don't even know what's the meaning of it. And so we developed a network throughout Africa based on the work that we did with DLA Piper. And that's when I decided to go back home. And I said that, okay, I can't be, how do you say that, credible if I'm talking about all these opportunities in different sectors, and I'll come back to that. If I'm not in the country, if I'm not with those people living there, so I've decided to create that law firm. I went there, everyone told me again, you are crazy. And I was crazy enough to tell you that I've been assisted over $5 billion transaction in DRC, where everyone told me that I would do nothing. So which means that there are transactions happening in that country. Now, I almost cancelled here because I'm working on a major of banks. I can't talk too much about it, although now it's in the media. And we were working on different facility agreements in the mining sectors. 60 million, 10 million. I don't say that to brag. I'm just telling you to open your eyes because the first opportunity is coming back. Second, it's being knowledgeable of what is your country. And also on the fact that we have been conditioned to see our continent, to see our country in a negative way. So we need to break it. If we don't do that, we will lose. I didn't say something, because when we talk about opportunities, I think it's really important to talk about individual opportunities. One of the opportunities that I managed actually, hopefully to succeed, we still have some challenges, is that law firm. Then I have another hat, I have investments. I have investment in mining, because everyone is talking about mining. But investing in mining requires a lot of, it's capital intensive. But we managed to have partnership with one billionaire, which is Benedict Peters. We have a very good partnership with him in several sectors. We have another partnership with a company named Çelik Group from Turkey, where we won some concessions with them. We have had a partnership with Congolese, only Congolese, especially when it comes to, I think we'll discuss about someone who was in this place, was Louis Watum. I think we will present him, but he knows everything about mining more than myself. And we've been investing in those sectors. We've been investing as well in IT and agency banking, client acquisition, and we own a company named Purposoft and another company named Onboard, and then we do client acquisitions. We've been looking at all the sectors which are interesting. I can name other businesses in which we've been investing, but to summarize, the key sectors in Congo is all the sectors which are answering all the challenges that the world is facing. And let me give you good news. You, Congolese, are the one answering all the issues of the world. We have the main resources in terms of mineral resources. We have over 120 million arable lands, so we can grow anything in terms of agriculture. Of course, we have a deficit in infrastructure, but this opened another opportunity in building infrastructures. We have capital, human capital is, this will be my transition because you can talk more about human capital than myself. But although we're facing human resources challenges in Congo because of a lack of transfer of know-how, this conditioning that we think that the most, let's say, another story, I have my drivers at the office, so we needed more drivers for the office. And someone was smarter than the first driver which was engaged. And I couldn't understand how he was not taking his responsibility and organize everything. And I went and asked someone, what's wrong here? He told me, no, he can't do anything because he was the second. So the boss is the first. So we still have our own rules which we need to break as well, to bring people to the level where we want to bring according to a vision that we have. And before even talking about opportunities, that we need to be organized, to plan and to work together. And the second, I'll say challenge, because opportunities goes with challenge. It's our mentality. We tend not to do what we're doing here now. It's talking together, sitting together, and share information. And this is why actually Yves was insisting in having, you will discuss with him, Louis, because the key now is that we have had some changes in the country. I would say that it's changes in continuity, which is good, because a lot of people would have told you that what was done in Congo was bad, No, it was not so bad. There were an agenda for those who were saying that, okay, it's fine, it's part of the game. It's a cheer game. But at the end of the day, we've been in Congo, we've been in Africa, and then we know that many people are generating a lot of resources. You need to stop me because when you when I start talking, I can't talk.
Let me take from there.
Yeah, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think I'll share almost the same story. I grew up in Congo, came to Belgium for university. I think I did my university in Belgium. After that, I came to the US. My plan was to do an MBA, but I did 5 years degree university in engineering in Belgium. So I came to the US first to learn English, because I thought it was a good opportunity to get a job out there. And then I registered myself for an MBA. I did only, I think, 2 months. I find out that what I was learning in English was actually everything that I learned in French before, so I decided to go back. So I remember my cousin was telling me, you are going back to Kinshasa. At that time, I think Kabila was coming. I said, you are crazy. I said, you know what? I didn't do that 5 years degree to end up doing the jobs that are not value me. I need to go back. If it doesn't work, I know the way, I'll come back. So I went back at that time, and I've never regretted that. So coming back to opportunities, I think opportunities are plenty in Congo. The way my friend said here, everything should be done. Everything. If I can just name the top 4 or the top 5, agriculture. This is an area where we need expertise. At least we need that culture, that mentality of Congolese taking ownership on that area. Invest on that area. Mining. We have an opportunity to have a big brother here, Lupetu, who actually I think is part of the delegation of big people who are going to come here. He will share with you, maybe you'll give him 5 minutes to share some very specific projects that are taking place right now as we are speaking. And there's a dynamic in Congo now, I think most of us. We are trying to share information with our colleagues. We are trying to build that class of Congolese who are going to drive the economy of Congo, like in Nigeria, like in other countries. Because if you go in DRC today, I'll say 60% of the economy or the wealth is under the hand of Pakistani, Indians, and people like that. Those people came, they came with nothing, but they just seized opportunities on the ground, and then they made it. But in our culture, in our mentality, we are not entrepreneurs. I think that thing should change a little bit. We made some recommendation to the panel Makutano a couple of 2 weeks ago. And I remember the panel I was saying, we need to start teaching our own kids how to set up businesses. Even from secondary school, we need to start teaching kids as to put it in the program at school, how, I think Noella is there. Those are the things that you need to teach our kids, how to create a business, how to make wealth. That is important because we are sitting in the country with all kinds of opportunities there, but we are not daring enough just to take the risk to go and do, okay? I know it's challenging. The legal environment is very complex. The infrastructure is missing. But believe me, the market is there, the demand is there. All good opportunities are welcome in this environment. I think once you go, you're there, you do it. You'll struggle a little bit, but once you have done it, I think the reward is just high. And that country needs Congolese to come and own. We are all looking at the political environment. The game is not there. The game is on the economical side, okay? You know, let the president run the country. Let's just make sure that he's running it well. But let's make sure that we seize opportunities that are in the country, and there are plenty. Mining, agriculture, logistic, warehousing, those are the areas that, you know, you can do magic in that country. And the need is just there, okay? So we can talk more about it, about the environment, what are opportunities, but I wanted just to mention that, you know, opportunities are there. And if you go, and also there's that feeling of being home, you know, and doing something that is meaningful for your community, and you are proud of it, okay? This is something that I think I can share. Opportunities are plenty, awesome, everywhere.
Awesome. So let me jump to Franklin. So Franklin, you have experience in startup space and being an entrepreneur in the U.S. and, you know, having the domestic focus here and doing other things. How would you approach the opportunities in Congo, and where would you start, and what experience that you've had that you think apply to the Congo?
I think the benefit of like being an entrepreneur in the U.S. is that I've learned a lot. Like U.S. has a fundamentally strong infrastructure when it comes to entrepreneurship. Like so I was an engineer by trade, went back to Harvard Business School, and then started my fund right afterwards. And what I realized was there are already infrastructure set in place for people to go be successful entrepreneurs. There are accelerators for people who have like just it's a random idea. You go through an accelerator, and they give you funding, they give you a support team, they give you sales and marketing. So they provide you that platform to go and be an entrepreneur. My model is a little bit unique. What I did is I went and pitched to a group of investors and said, hey, like I have a brilliant idea of how to grow a company within a certain industry, but I want to acquire a company that has potential and then grow it based on my prior experience. And they all got on board, gave me funding to go do it, and gave me funding to go acquire businesses. And I guess I share that to say that these concepts, these basic principles of how to build businesses can easily be applied to the Congo. Like, all right, honestly, like the litigation, the banking system, the infrastructure is not going to be fundamentally there, but simple ideas in terms of sales and marketing, simple ideas in terms of how do you go and fundraise, how do you convince investors to buy into your vision. These ideas are transferable to the Congo, and that's what motivates me to do what I do. Is I want to grow companies in the US, but because I have the backing of investors, because I have the confidence, and because I have the Harvard connection, it creates an opportunity for me to go back into the Congo and build businesses in the Congo and apply those ideas to the Congo as well.
Awesome, thank you. Now, Hervé, so one area I want to pick your brain on is that you've had a lot of success in real estate. So talk to us about how did you and your business partner identify this portfolio as an emerging market? What type of research did you engage in, and how did you even start?
All right. You know, the interesting thing is that I went through the same process as everybody else. You know, I think in 2008, my contract with the military was coming up. So I was thinking, what am I going to do next? Am I going back to college? Am I going and creating a business for myself? But there was this thing inside of me that I need to go back to Africa. I need to go back home, you know? But every time I'd say, you know, I'll go next month. You know, next month I'll look at my bank account. I'll look at how many family members I have back home. I'll look at what I need to buy. I'm like, man, I'm not quite there yet. Let's do it next year, you know? So you put it back. And I did that for about 3 years. You know, I kept putting it back. So I went in between there. I was like, you know, if I'm not gonna go back, let me at least start an activity back home that can make me some money now, so that when I'm ready to go, I'll have something making me money. So I sent some money to some, like we all do, to some of my cousins. Set up a business back home. I set up it was a cyber cafe with some with games on the side, right? I was making a good money. I was like, you know what, guys, don't send me that money. Just hold it over there. When I get ready, I'm gonna come down and we're gonna take that and build some other stuff, you know. So 3 years later, I still didn't go because I was looking at it. They're looking at it like, oh, we got $1,000 in the bank. I'm like, man, I got 5 of my mom's sisters back home. I got 10 of my dad's siblings back home. Like, man, $1,000 is nothing. You know, if I get in, you know, all that's gonna be gone. So I kept putting it back. I went back to school, worked on my MBA, and then 2014, I finally said, you know, from doing entrepreneurship here in the United States, I was like, the only way you really succeed in your business is if you work in your business as much as you work in somebody else's business. In somebody else's business, you work 8 hours a day. But in your own business, you work 26 hours a day. So I just decided, you know what, I'm going back. 2014, I went back, but I set up a formula where I would be in Kinshasa for 3 months, and I would be in the US for 3 months. And I was doing 3 months for at least a year and a half, I did that. And every time I go to Kinshasa, I have to rent an apartment, or I would have to stay with family members. Eventually, I was just like, you know, if you go to this uncle's house, electricity is there like 1 week out of a month. You go to this other person, you got water maybe 2 days out of a month, so I can't keep doing this, you know? I need a place that I can go to and feel like I'm home. I have the same stuff I have in the United States, you know, the same amenities, the same equipment in the house. So I picked a place downtown, rented my own apartment, furnished it with everything imported from the United States. So that will be where I go when I go back to Kinshasa. But every 3 months when I'm away, it's empty. I'm like, well, now I'm just paying rent for nothing, you know? So I decided to put it on Airbnb. I put one apartment on Airbnb, I think in 2016. The first one I did, I put in 2016. People started booking it. Now eventually, it's time for me to go to Kinshasa, but my apartment is booked out. So I don't even have a place to stay anymore. So I figured, you know, there's demand for this, you know? So we need to figure out a way of adding more apartments. So we went from that one, we started adding one every quarter. So now we are up to about 9. We should be at 10 by the end of the year. And I kid you not, our occupancy rate is about 83%, you know, and that's only because after each person that rents, we have to usually block about a day or 2 to make sure we go in and clean up and stuff like that. So there's a huge demand from people that want to rent. As a matter of fact, the immigration authorities just said that during the holidays before school, there were about 400,000 Congolese diaspora that went to visit. That leave abroad, just went back and got the visa from the airport. About 400,000 people came in within 2 months. So what's true is each one of those persons has the same problems that I had. The same anxieties we all have as we're wondering, should I go or should I not go? Am I staying with family or am I staying by myself? Who am I bringing gifts to and who am I not giving anything to, am I going to be able to find work or am I going to get, ruled by the people back home? So those are the opportunities there's huge. But the area that I understand is that there is a huge opportunity in real estate. I have 10 apartments now and every single one of them is booked as we're speaking right now. I'm literally sending containers with furniture every 3 months.
Wow.
As they get there, there's already places to put them in. So that's one area there's opportunity, but Kinshasa or the DRC, there are opportunities literally everywhere. Now, here are some of the problems that you run into. What I've understood is the respect of contracts is a huge problem. So we signed the lease on 3 units in July. They were supposed to deliver those units to us in August. Right now it's the 21st of September. Those units were still not delivered, so they're still doing work on them. So we had to take the money back from the landlord because he just couldn't deliver on the units. So as you go back, you have to understand that. It's not like in the United States, hey, you sign a contract, you're supposed to deliver this by 10 o'clock on Monday. 10 o'clock on Monday, you get what you're waiting on. A lot of times you have to have that big heart, you have to have a lot of patience, a lot of tolerance, because people, do things as they see fit, They have this term that they use back home, get used to this, they say Maboko Bank. Maboko Bank literally means the guy does things as his hands is his bank. He does it as he sees fit. If he feels like today I'm going to give you $5, even though I owed you $100, he's going to give you $5. He's got $100 in his pocket. He's just going to give you $5 because he feels like giving you $5. So you got all of that as challenges, but the opportunities are limitless.
Oh, great. Let me segue to Serge. So, as somebody who is a business lawyer, who's also an investor, give us some advice or some factors or free consulting that you typically give for folks considering entering into the market.
Of course, there's different level of advices, and it depends on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to corporations, companies, my advice might be different than the one that I will give to individuals. But one of the key points, and of course I'll talk as a lawyer, is law. Many people think that, especially within companies, I used to have companies and then I'll tell them, why you do want to see the president? Okay, go and see the president. But then when you will see the president, and you will see that nothing happens after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, are you going to knock at the door of the president and say, hey, Mr. President, it doesn't work? He'll tell you, I told you that I'm okay with your project. What did you do? It's not because the president has seen so many millions of people. So how can you expect the president to do things for you? First, you need to understand where you're going. And how you do that, don't think that we don't have rules, that there's countries where you need to know the minister, you call your uncle, whoever, and then things will go. That also, it's part of Congo. I can't say that it's not, but it's not only that. So first thing is that work by the rules, understand the rules. When you understand the rules, you will see that that will avoid you entering into troubles. Because those who are putting you in troubles and expecting you to call a politician, usually they know the rules, and then they are making sure that you will go out of the limits, so they will hold you. And that's where corruption starts. That's because most of the people do not know the rules. And second thing, you need to learn, which is very difficult in our culture, to say no.
Say that again.
That's difficult. I went through that process. You'll see, okay, so now some people will know me and say, if I say, okay, je vais voir ce que je peux faire, it means that it's no. So, but it's still difficult for me to say no, because you need to say no to several things. No to family, because they are dragging us, all of us, down. So, but you need to say no to our own inclination of going too fast, and sometimes doing some deals which we definitely shouldn't do or shouldn't go there. And so this and discerning is key. And then when you learn to discern, you'll be able actually to plan your project. I took, every time that I went in Mozambique, it took me 6 months to be to know all the candidates. At that time, it was during election. I like election times. I'll tell you, when I made a little bit of money, it was through or before elections. Because everyone is looking for something where they can grab, they look for serious investors, but you only have a short window. I went in Mozambique, I reached the highest level, now I can say that I know the president. Did I pay anyone? Did I pay any official? No. I just learned how they were doing. I spent a year before traveling there. I'm always traveling, even in my own country, trying to understand who's who, where's he eating, who's discussing with. So you need to do a little bit of intelligence in order for you to understand that sometimes also, we also have these, how do you say that? People will call it matu vu in French, or they will say décorum, the show off. So you need to go and then go deeper, and then you'll find what is the truth. So don't take any decision based on what someone told you. And if you do it, you need to accept that you're the first responsible. That's some of the simple principle. And then in terms of investment opportunities, you need to understand that banks are not your friend in Congo. They just want your money. And then when you want to get some credit, although I have a banker who actually will hear me, what they want to do is that they will give you credit for 16% interest rate. It is changing.
18.
18.
That's the average. And the
18.
repayment time is 6 months.
So, exactly.
The risk is too high. You know what he was talking about? The legal environment is so weak. The money that you are giving to people as loan, it's a deposit from somebody that have collected. And by regulation, that somebody should collect his money anytime he wants. So if I give you that money and then you don't pay back, I'm eating my capital on the other side. So I think you have bankers in this room. That's how it works. So those who do credit is simple. If I give you money, I need to make sure that that money will come back. If you are the friend of Tshisekedi and Kabila, most likely you can take my money and then don't pay back. I will not have anything to do. I will be in trouble. So I need to get from my home capital to pay back the depositor. So the risk is so high. The legal environment is so weak at some stage. So unfortunately, normal banks would not give you normal loans because the environment is not that normal for the banking. So it's
really interesting.
It's the truth, but it's like that. But if you are serious or you show a proper business plan, something that is well done, and I was saying something about no as well. When you are setting up a business, make sure that you put the right people doing that business. Don't just bring family members, they will drag you down and that business will die. If you need to bring a family member, make sure that the person is qualified and there's some ethics, culture there. For your business to be sustainable. This is a weakness that we have as Congolese. We do business with our heart most of the time, instead of our brain. And then we end up in trouble. So that's the banking in DRC. But the money is there.
But there's one point which is really important, especially I want to draw that to the attention of most of the people who are here. Actually, you are from an American background, US. I'm from a Francophone background, France, etc. So one of the problems that I had was this language, and I had to learn because financial markets, and when we were talking about a global economy, it's English, ce n'est pas français. So we have been in a situation in terms of strategy where some of our nocos, I don't know how you call them,
uncles.
Actually the uncles, they taught us that actually they were the road to money, where in fact they were not the road to money. They were only middlemen. And so now actually with the capacity that you guys have, we can talk to the real money. And the real money in the real financial system is here in the US. But what is really interesting, and many people didn't look at it with the same perspective. A few days ago, the Fed, because there's an issue with the repo market, injected over $120 billion in the economy to save the economy. We were close to a big crisis, and we are still close to a big crisis, although people wouldn't say that. But the system in the US is two things. It's a big bank with a huge army. So basically, if there's no strong partnership between Africa, Congo, and Congolese and American Congolese and Congolese, we will fail in developing our country.
Yeah.
Ask them to take care of and of the country. So these are the main improvements. But I won't tell you that everything is okay. Because one of the biggest issues that we have, for instance, is tax harassment. Because most of these gentlemen are only gaining $100 per month. So how can you expect them to collect a lot of money? The second problem is the tax reform, because the tax in Congo is declarative. So you need to declare. So most of the companies which are, most of the taxpayers are companies, because individuals have to declare. And I've seen many people complaining, we don't have roads, we don't have that. And I say, what? When was the last time that you pay your taxes? Oh. Mentality.
The first part would be I'm taking out my education, right? My intellectual side, I'll put it to the side a little bit, and I'll take the reality of the things, right? I've traveled the world quite a bit, and I've seen how people do things other places. The way you do business in China, the Chinese have defined how they do business in their country, and they call it guanxi. If you go to Brazil, they've defined how you do business in Brazil, and they call it JT no. If you go to Congo, there is a way people do business in Congo, but we let everybody else tell us it's corruption. Okay? I'm gonna give you an example. You're trying to come to my office, right? And I have a secretary outside. We don't make enough for me to be able to pay her enough to be able to sustain. I pay her just enough to justify her coming to work every day. Now, from her job, she should, well, the country or the city or the people have defined a way where they get tips to be able to keep the business moving. So, that lady in front of my office, when she takes a tip, people would say, well, she's impeding on people doing business, she's making things, the process heavier, she's being corrupted, or she's asking for bribes for her to do her work. But the common understanding for people is, I come in, I drop off paperwork, and, mama, right? It's the common practice. But we've allowed people to define it and say that's wrong. So it takes us down the list, but it is the way business is done because we're not in a normal environment of business. But we have to define it. The Congolese intellectuals have to define it and say, okay, the way business is done here, there's some practices that are okay. It is okay to tip the person that is opening up the door. It is okay to tip that guy that opens up the door for you to go into a store. Now that's me thinking outside of the Western wave that we've learned, right? The second thing that I would say is the way you solve the problem of doing business in the DRC is digitalizing things. There has to be traceability, there has to be transparency, there has to be accountability. Now, when everything is done in cash business, everything is going from one hand to the other hand, and people have to report what they've earned in a year. Listen, if I made $1 million and I think you'll tax me more if I tell you I made $1 million, I'll tell you I made 100,000, you know? That's what people have in business ethic get put to question because of the environment that we've set for ourselves. So if you digitalize it the way it is in the United States for the most case, then everything is traceable. You know, if you come in and you claim 100,000 and then we're like, okay, you purchased $1 million worth of merchandise, you've sold 90% of it. There's no way you only made 100,000, you know? So digitalizing processes in all parts of the country's businesses could help with solving that problem. And the third part for me is education. The Francophone, because I said I chose to do my MBA program because it was taking me to school in the US school system and in the French school system. And the difference between the two school systems is that in the American school system, in the classroom with your professor, you are there to learn together. There are new things that are coming up every day. You have discussions in the class. The professor is okay with a student coming up and saying, actually, that's no longer the norm. This is what it is now, because he's up to date to the information. In the French school system, it is what the professor believes is the truth that is the truth. You dare not say to the professor that there is a different way this is done.
That's so true.
So you are confined.
No, it's so true. If you see people coming from secondary school today, they're still teaching our kids the story of Meron Venjan, Caroline Jen. Those French, yes. We don't need that.
It's culture.
We actually don't need that. Actually, education is critical and it's key. And it's not only education going to school, it's education of our community. And it starts with forums like this where we share information and we help to educate people around us, so I think the nation will go up. But that one is so, it's unfortunately so true.
So I want to, first of all, thank the panelists, and we're going to open up your questions a little bit, but I want to introduce, we have an additional guest who came and blessed us with presence, so Yves will give us a background, and then we'll jump into questions.
Yeah, I'll just quickly, I think it's a privilege. I will not feel while sitting here as a panelist why we have one of our Congolese big brother, who actually is actually a CEO of one of the big mining companies in Congo. He has been in entrepreneurship for many years now, okay? And those are the people who are trying to, you know, to wave the flag of Congo. They are model for us, okay? They are trying to own our economy to make sure that we have Congolese who are in power on the key area of the development of our country, trying to own our own mineral resources. So they have been involved in setting up big initiatives, big businesses.
And I promise you one thing. I think President Tshisekedi is landing here tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
I'll meet with him privately on Monday. I will tell him, if you cannot make it, let these four gentlemen run the country. If you don't want them to run the country, at least take them in your advisory board.
Exactly, that's right.
I won't be very long because I was not a panelist. I wanted to say this. My story is very similar to the others. Came back 12 years ago in the country, took on one of the craziest projects to invest $2.5 billion in northeast DRC. Not Katanga, but northeast. That is the capital, that's towards Wacha, Bunia, etc. That's the capital of rape, militia activities, etc. They thought we were crazy. And it was crazy indeed. Because we had to move 20,000 people who were sitting on the deposit. We had to dig out 3,000 graves because they were lying on top of the deposit. As a CEO, once a month, I had to go witness at least 5 exhumations to make sure that it's done properly, etc. Anyway, we built this mine on time, on budget, and on client satisfaction. When I said client satisfaction, excluding myself, because I did not go there to set up a mine for the sake of setting up a mine. I wanted to empower Congolese. And I say I wanted to create few millionaires between the Congolese. I managed to create a couple of them, maybe 4, maybe 5.
Including yourself.
I'm sure it's millions.
I'm just working class. I'm just working class.
For him, it was nobody's.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, yeah. Now, one thing we did, just to add to what the gentleman said here. During the 4 years we're building this mine, it was under President Kabila reign. Not once, I repeat, not once we went to see him. Not once. But the day we poured the first gold, then we went to him and we said, Mr. President, we've been in your country for a number of years building this mine, spending $2.5 billion. We didn't come to see you. Not because we ignored you, or not because we disrespected you, but we wanted to tell the world one story. DRC is a destination for investment. It's got its laws and regulations, and it's got its administration. So based on the mining code, and based on your administration, we came in Kinshasa every 3 months, not to see you, but to give feedback to your ministers on how we are doing. And now it's the first time we are meeting with you. Let the world see that. You don't need any favor to come invest in DRC. You don't need to know the president. You need to work with the law, you need to work with the administration, and there we are. Fast track, I finished building that mine of $2.5 billion today. I'm taking on even craziest projects. I'm building an $8 billion project. I repeat, $8 billion project. This is in Katanga province. It's a copper mine. We're going to build it in stage. In 8 years from now, it will be the second biggest copper mine in the world. It has a lifetime of well over 100 years. In fact, I'm a believer in Christ. I always say when Jesus comes the second time, you'll find us there mining the place. And you tell us time is up, boys, let's come up.
Amen.
Boys and girls.